This is a random rant time. Today just so happens to be the full moon. Happy full moon to those of you who celebrate those sorts of things or are interested in those sorts of things. Over the last couple of days, I've been in a rather blue state, right? For whatever reason, it's been a little bit difficult for me to get up and get moving, right? Find motivation to get up and do. Today, for whatever reason, I decided, let me crack an energy drink. Shout out to Celsius. This is not sponsored. I just like drinking them. And I said, let me go ahead and utilize this energy to my advantage. I got some homework done. And I finally said, myself said, I said, let me go ahead in here and take a shower right quick. I decided to clean up real nice, wash my hair and everything. Smells wonderful in here. While in the shower, I ended up having this random thought. A couple months ago, my grandmother says to me, you're not going to like to hear this, but you look just like your mother. We sat there in silence for a full 30 seconds, considering she knows that the relationship with my mother is such that I wasn't going to like what it was that she decided to say. I'm thinking to myself, now, why in the hell would you go and say some shit like that, knowing what you know? You feel me? My mother and I don't talk for this much context, right? While in the shower, this thought comes up, and I'm having a conversation with myself in the shower. If you don't know why months later something like that would have happened, look up something referred to as delayed processing. Okay, some people call it a disorder, other people just call it a way of life, right? I'm having this conversation with myself, and mid-conversation, I'm saying to myself, you know what? I'm finished. You know what? I'm done with this. This conversation is no longer relevant, is no longer useful to my way of being anymore. You feel me? Even if its usefulness was simply to get me to the point where I could stop myself in the middle of a potential spiral and say, you know what? I'm not interested. What I ended up doing is having a conversation with myself. I said, myself said, I said, it's time to pray. And so I did. While in the shower, in the middle of this conversation I just stopped with myself, I decided to call upon the ancestors and the spirit guides, the deities, the energies known and unknown, hell, source themselves that mean my highest good and mean to help me along the path of my highest good in this lifetime. I said, y'all, they said, what, baby? I said, I need some assistance. They said, what's up, baby? And I began to say, go to part 2. I said, you know what? The conversation I was just having with myself just now, I realized where it's no longer necessary, so I need some assistance in transmuting the energy. They said, oh, that sounds interesting, right? I said, you know what? At this point, that conversation is no more useful than getting me to the point where I realize I have more control over my brain than I've ever given myself credit for, right? Some people refer to those sorts of conversations as like intrusive thoughts, but the truth of the matter is they can only intrude to the extent that you allow them. Without judging myself, I begin to say, you know what? Help. I need your help in transmuting that energy. That conversation is no longer useful, so what I need you to help me do is to transmute that energy into health, wealth, and abundance for me and mine. Period. I began to continue my prayer of transmutation. Is that how you say that word? Possibly. Maybe not. That's what I heard, so that's what I'm gonna stick with. And by the time I got out of that shower, I felt so light it was fucking ridiculous. Okay? My point, 111 when I look up. Sometimes full moon work don't look like crystals and grids and herbs and fucking candle lights. It don't look like, soaking in a bathtub, drinking your tea and chanting and howling to the moon. Sometimes it looks like a conversation with yourself in the shower where you begin to realize the shit that was once relevant and the ways that I used to deal with it are no longer relevant for the individual that I am in life currently. And so I wish to fully let go of those things, of those ways of being, of those ways of thinking, of those ways of doing. And I wish to adopt new ways that are going to be helpful for me in the long run to continue to grow and mold myself into the individual I want to be, the individual I know I am in real life. You feel me? My point? Sometimes is far more simple than other people make it out to be. And all the time, the relevance of making your practice your own is going to be true. So that was my little rant time for today. So sorry that is 2 parts. I'm trying to stick within the 3 minutes so the algorithm and do what the algorithm do. You feel me? Until next time, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Have a great day.